You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Charge and Hayner at Zoom the TBT, and we're really excited to have one of the favorite new teams on TBT, All Good Dawgs. I have head coach Emerson Kampen on. Coach Kampen, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thrilled to have you. Really excited. It's one of the most exciting developments is to have a Butler team this cycle. So first of all, obviously, I know you weren't the fulcrum of this, but can you talk a little bit about how you guys were able to get this regional together? I know you said the AD had a big role in, but can you talk a little bit about how this started to happen?
Yeah, I think, there's always been talks. I think every college basketball team probably goes and looks at the TBT and thinks about having a team full of alums that can compete and play. And so Grant Linedecker, the new athletic director, who we're super excited is back and is now the AD at Butler, kind of approached me and a couple others and asked if we think this, something we want to do. And of course, we phone and calling, all the former players and guys that are currently playing and kind of put it together. And there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of guys from recent past, from distant past that are just excited. Some guys that, obviously aren't even on the team that are just going to come and support. And so it's been a really fun thing just to kind of, circle the alum and get everybody kind of back at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Definitely. I mean, speaking of Fieldhouse, one thing that's really interesting this cycle is how incredibly diverse and exciting the regions are. TBT has grown so much in its 10-year history. This is the 11th year. And Hinkle, first of all, is a historic venue. Hoosiers was filmed there. It's one of the most historic venues in college basketball. Can you talk about both the excitement that your team has to play in their old stomping grounds and how excited TNs of TBT should be to have this venue in the cycle this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well documented how just amazing Hinkle Fieldhouse is. The environment there, the kind of the aesthetics, the court being raised kind of off the ground from the benches. I think it's truly one of the great facilities in the entire world to play a game. So to have Hinkle Fieldhouse, have it there in the summer basketball, super exciting. And then for me, for the guys on the team, just that opportunity to suit up one more time, at least one more time, in Hinkle Fieldhouse, is 6 more times. But that opportunity is something I think is what has driven the guys on our team to commit to play, and everybody's journey has been different, right? Shelvin was a part of a national championship team. Well, Sean McDermott was on a really, really good team that didn't get to finish because of COVID. And so, Shelvin didn't get his senior night. And so everybody has a little different story. Some, guys have families that can come back and watch them play and kind of relive some memories. But Hinkle Fieldhouse is truly a special place. And I know I'm excited to go back and be a part of it. And I know our guys can't wait to practice and play in the place that they call home.
Yeah, I mean, this is the development of having a venue with a team with this kind of history. Not Purdue, excuse me, I'm trying the wrong team. Butler is probably the Rolls Royce of low majors that actually became a high major through the benefit of that historic run for the last few years. Hayward, Mack, Brad Stevens, yourself. Can you talk a little bit about your coaching background and how your coaching tenure at Butler almost ties this meteoric rise from the Horizon League to the Big East?
Yeah, I started out as a player. I came in 2008 with the likes of, Ron Nord, Shelvin Mack, Gordon Hayward, Garrett Butcher, Chase DeGaulle, myself, and was fortunate and blessed to be on 2 amazing teams that went to, back-to-back Final Fours. And then I went straight into coaching and kind of bounced around at different roles at Butler, and I was an assistant coach at Butler for a good amount of time. And so the opportunity for me just to see Butler kind of back in 2008, where, in the Horizon League, not many people know it, to now in the Big East, and just on the national stage on Fox Sports, every single night in the Big East has been just a really cool thing to be a part of. And to say that, I had the tiniest little part, at least to, hop on with the guys like Gordon and them and take and just watch it grow, has been super exciting and a thrill of a lifetime for me. But it's cool now to be able to, I'll be coaching some of the guys that I played with and coaching some of the guys that I coached. And so to kind of have different generations of Butler basketball, the Horizon League guys to now the Big East guys, and everybody kind of, there always is a little competition, right? The Horizon League guys think, they could easily play in the Big East, and the Big East guys think they would have done the same in the Horizon League. So there's always, good friendly competition, but now to have everybody kind of together and playing together will be really fun.
When that half-court shot launched against Duke, it looked actually pretty good off his hand. Did you really think it was going to go in? It almost didn't go in. Did you think it had a shot?
Yeah, for sure. And there's actually a turnaround on the baseline that if you were to ask most of us, that was kind of the play before that was also right on line as well. But yeah, I mean, I think all of us, right, you stop that thing midair, I think we all think, it's going to be one of the greatest shots in college basketball history. Unfortunately, it was whatever, a couple centimeters or inches off. And we
It was back iron, right? It was back iron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, to be honest with you, whatever, 14 years later, whatever it is, it's still not it's not a play that I've watched. I can't say I've watched that many times just because of the idea of, if it was an inch off or whatever, the fact that we could have been national champions. So, yeah, I think we all thought that, and that was kind of the first big moment to where America kind of got to understand Butler basketball. And there's been a lot of guys before that and a lot of guys after that are trying to carry on that tradition.
Actually, just briefly on that, it's kind of interesting because you say before that, a lot of people only see the meteoric incompletion, like what has happened at the end of the journey. Is having Butler host this a great way to sort of pay homage to the people who helped build the program even before this? Like, do you expect a lot of alumni to come out to like the people that built the foundation for the building Butler basketball has become? Are some of those people going to be able to come watch the team and really have sort of a alumni week at Butler for this?
Yeah, that's the goal. And I think that's, some of those guys obviously are probably not are going to be able to play in that, but they had a huge part of it, right? Barry Collier, the former AD, had as big a part as anybody, obviously. Coaches, former players, even there's assistant coaches throughout college basketball now that have played a huge part in this. And so, yeah, the goal is for that week and it's just to get everybody back from all the generations and essentially, turn this into kind of an alumni event and celebrate all the success that Butler basketball's had even before 2010 in the Final Four, right? There's been a lot of really good players and a lot of really good teams that maybe didn't get as much, of the spotlight because of this, that, or the other. But it'll be really fun to have everybody back, and I can't, wait to kind of see old teammates, guys that I looked up to that were playing when I was going through, grade school and high school. And so to have everybody back will be really special.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing of like just seeing the people you cared about and did battle with all in one place will be really special for you guys. You have a coaching experience of almost 2 decades, which we talked about a little bit before we got on. And now you're kind of doing something different. Can you let our listeners know what you're doing now? Because that kind of interesting as a segue from your coaching career.
Yeah. So, recently hopped out of college coaching and kind of jumped into the business world. I'm in kind of an investment group that focuses on private equity and venture capital. And, I've used a lot of lessons that I've had in, basketball to help me into this new career. At the end of the day, it's about working with people that are team oriented, that are going to help help you grow every single day. And that's what I've done here. And, done some really cool stuff and some stuff around the game of basketball as well. We are coming, I have a couple business partners, and there are some things that we'll introduce here as we go. But some really fun things that I've been able to be a part of. And basketball has really opened, my doors to a lot of different people. And I'm very blessed of my time at Butler has kind of helped me through my coaching career, but also now helping me through my business career. And I will say that, you put the bulldog on anywhere in the country, and it is now recognized, which I think 15, 20 years ago that wasn't the case. So it's been really, really cool, and that's a credit to, I said, all the people before me, all the people after me that keep making Butler a special place.
Absolutely. And actually, it leads into another question, because I wasn't actually thinking about this, but you're right. Since you are in finance now and equity, TBT is becoming a more and more expensive undertaking every year. This is the first time you guys have run this, but this is the first year they've had the entry fee. There's been a lot of other things happening. So how was your background able to help you sort of mitigate costs, find sponsorships, find synergies with companies to help fund this whole endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, it takes support, right? It takes there has to be a willing to, and I think obviously Grant and his team at Butler has been a huge advocate for us and for this to make this happen, right? I think there's obviously benefits for Butler basketball to be a part of this, and all the alums to come together, I think is a great thing. But yeah, I mean, I think in anything, right, you want to make sure that you get people that are, aligned on a mission, but also there are costs involved. And so you need help, right? You need help from sponsors, from people that are willing to give their, a dollar or two to help make this happen. And been fortunate at Butler that people really care about Butler basketball, not just, the Butler alums, but the entire community of Indianapolis backs Butler. And so we've been fortunate to use those connections and those people, and they've came through for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because every year it's a little harder to do for the teams. I'm always really surprised when the high quality teams are able to do this year and year. So I'm actually really excited to see what you guys can do. Obviously, Butler's basketball history is mainstream the last 20 years, but rich throughout. Any of the old veterans going to come through? Can we drag Brad Stevens out of Summer League, out of Las Vegas, to get there for a little bit, possibly?
I don't know about, I mean, he's had a heck of join the fruits of his labor in terms of them winning that, or the NBA championship, and I'm so excited for him and his family, and Tracy and everybody for them reaching the mountaintop, and how exciting that is. I don't know if he'll be there, but I know he'll definitely be watching. We will. I think Gordon Hayward's going to come through at least for a little bit of time, if his schedule allows, and so it'll be great to have him back. Obviously, Shelvin's going to be playing. I know
Yeah, that's exciting.
I know guys like Matt Howard and those guys are going to be around as well. They may not be playing, but they'll be around as well, and so. It really will be, but there's a lot of other guys too. The AJ Graves and those guys. I'm sure they'll all be around as well, and then hopefully some of the current players. I think is the impactful thing as well is that we're doing it at Hinkle, and so the guys that are currently playing will be around and get to meet guys that they've grown up watching and heard a lot of stories about. I'm sure Coach Mata has given a lot of stories about a lot of these guys, so they can put names with faces and faces with names. And I know as a coach, that's really impactful for kind of the old guard to come through and meet the young guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really exciting to have that sort of collection of talent and history there. We were talking about potentially having Memphis Grizzly legend Shelvin Mack on the show. So obviously, I need to bring a Grizzlies Mack jersey to this event when I come roll through. But there's one person I really want to get on the show. Actually, not person's the wrong word. And that's my favorite Butler personality. Is Butler Blue going to be there? That's the most important. That's all I care about.
Yeah, well, he by far is the most popular, so I'd assume he is going to be there. He is that is the most popular. You can talk about, Coach Stevens, you can talk about Gordon, but it is, Butler Blue is the most, important, and, he is the face of the entire university. Sean McDermott's, he played for the Grizzlies as well. So we got two Memphis Grizzly guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. There you go.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sean played there for a couple seasons as well.
So it's Butler Blue, the fourth now is the key thing, and Trip was a wonderful dog. So it's my favorite Twitter follow by a lot is the Butler Blue account. Because the pictures are absolutely adorable. A huge dog guy. Everybody who follows the show knows me and my co-host love our dogs. Sitting right across from me now as I tape this. So the idea of meeting Butler Blue, that's probably one of my highlights personally of going to TBT. We'll hopefully get the pet Butler Blue. That's like, if you hook that up, I'd be in your debt.
Yeah, well, when you're
Let's get
there, let
go
me
ahead.
know. I think I can. I think I can make that happen. So don't hold me to it.
I
I can
only
make that
want one.
happen.
I only want one picture. I want a picture of me and Butler Blue. I don't care about any of the other stuff. I want a picture of Butler Blue.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get to the basketball part. Enough of me talking about dogs and nonsense. Let's get to the actual basketball part. So one thing that I love about this team, and I love this, is that a lot of alumni teams are alumni with some ads or a lot of ads. Like some one team, which we'll not get too much of them. I give them grief. I love the guys who run it too, so they're a great team. But they won a championship with probably less than half of their players being true alums. This is a true alum team. Every team on the roster, as of the date of this taping, played at Butler. So, how much of a strength is that, first of all, to have people coming from a shared history where you don't have to explain concepts and sets? You can just go, we're all rolling. Is that something that's a huge advantage to have a true alumni team?
Yeah, for sure. And there's been different coaches. We have played for different coaches, but the Butler way, how Butler's played for the last 25, 30 years is very, very similar. And more importantly, the type of people that have played at Butler has been is the same as the guys now as the guys in the past, in terms of guys that care about the team more than themselves. And so as a coach, when you get a group that has been coached a certain way, that has been recruited a certain way, for me, we won't be having to worry about somebody playing a different way. It'll be about trying to figure out a way to win the game on Friday night, and then turn around and win the game again on Sunday. And I think that as a coach is a really, really good thing. And then on top of it, I think for the fans and for everybody at Hinkle, just to relive those moments with those guys. Ronnie Clark has some unbelievable moments in Hinkle Fieldhouse, right? So does Paul Jorgensen, right? He hit almost a half-court shot against, all those guys were out there, and Paul hit a shot from about the ear of the dog, and we beat those guys. And Sheldon, I think Shelvin's lost only a couple games. I saw an interview with him. He's lost only a couple games in there. So everybody has their story. And so the fact that we can put all the stories together, and everybody's worn the jersey before, I think just makes it that much more special. And I think for our fans and the people that are going to come out, I think that'll be should be a really easy thing to root for. You won't have to look at the back of the back of the jersey to figure out who's who, because Butler fans will know them all.
Yeah, I mean that's a great ad. I mean, the true alumni teams have a built-in advantage of like just a shared culture. Getting into this roster a bit, one thing that sticks out for me is Bo Hodges has TBT experience and winning TBT experience. He's made deep runs with TTSU before, the Buccaneers alumni, because he's a dual alumni at BTSU and Butler. What does it mean to have a TBT veteran with that kind of winning experience on your first year team?
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, obviously, guys have all played, but I think he's the only one that's played in this event that's currently on the roster. So his experience will be vital. He's also he'll be vital for us for a lot of reasons. Just he's 6'5", strong, athletic, can defend multiple positions, can get to the paint, physically dominant. And so I think he'll be important. He'll be an important piece to this. And the thing that I think that's really special about him coming is that he was here for a brief amount of time. And so it's always fun for the guys that are, the past guys that play with the guys that are a little bit more current, and see how their games fit. And so I think, yeah, Bo's going to be a great addition. I'm so glad that he decided to play with us, and can't wait to coach him up one more time. And I think he'll be a huge piece to what we're doing.
Yeah, he is not huge but he has a guard. He's a big guard. He's very strong. And in TBT, he can probably cover force. That's the good news. The bad news is the roster is currently constructed. There's probably additions coming. Look, there's no way around this. You have a talented roster, a really good roster, a lot of skill. It's small, and you have a small team. The biggest guy is 6'8". They're all about the same size, but there's not a lot of size on this team. Now that's the curse of even being a great mid-major program. Is size is really hard to come by. Anything below like basically the Big Ten, like size is tough to find. So one, is there going to be roster ads to mitigate this? And two, how do you plan on leaning into your skill to mitigate the lack of size?
Yes, we're working on some roster additions right now to kind of fill in that gap with size. I will say this, as a college coach, I've always been looking for, 6'11", 7-foot guys that can run and catch a lob. And, I've been
Hard to
looking,
find.
yeah, I've been a decade or so in looking for those guys. But and listen, there's been some really, really good bigs that have played at Butler, and some of which are a little bit banged up this offseason, so they weren't able to play with us, and so that's hurt a little bit. But yeah, we do have a ton of skill on our team, right? We have a ton of shooting on our team. We got a ton of playmaking on our team, and so that's definitely going to be a strength of ours. Is we're going to have to move the ball, we're going to have to share the ball, we're going to have to shoot the ball. And I look up and down the roster, and I think that we have as much skill as anybody. Now we're going to have to. There are times we're going to have to get stops, we're going to have to get rebounds, and that may be our weakness as of right now. But we'll add a couple guys to fill that in, and Bo Hodge is going to have to play a little bigger than 6'5". He's going to have to play about 6'8", and Bryce Enzie's he's 6'6", but he played some 4 and some 5 for us as well. Shelvin, I love Shelvin, but Shelvin's a big guard, and so he's probably not guarding point guards. All right, he's gonna have to guard some bigger guys. So, but we're gonna play just like Butler always plays, right? We're going to move the ball, share the ball, try to find the best shot for our group. We got some outstanding, Rodney Clark's one of the best shooters to ever play at Butler, not alone, probably all of college basketball. Paul Jorgensen, Sean McDermott, like those guys are elite shooters. So we got to take advantage of that and, play to our strengths.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we talk about maybe the lack of size, the abundance of skill is going to mitigate this. Because, you look at these rosters in TBT. First of all, you guys only have 8. So there's plenty of room to grow. You have a limit of 15. You can add up to 7 guys. So you still have plenty of room to fill out the roster. And I'm sure your shopping list is not at all done yet. But everybody's playing a high-level league. France, Portugal, Italy, Shelvin plays in Greece at a high level. All these guys are still playing at the highest levels. A guy playing in Australia, which is a high level league. Everybody's playing at a high level league, so you don't have a talent problem. It's just going to be if you guys could just get rebounds, if you guys just defend your own backboard, this team could go really, really, really deep. Looking at the regional, it's a really fun regional. This actually might be my favorite regional because a lot of the regionals, and this is no secret, there's a couple of regions that are just weaker. A couple of regions just don't have. The bottom of the bracket isn't appropriately filled out. There's a few brackets. I've talked to even the people who run TBT. There's a couple teams that just, frankly, aren't as good as this event deserves at the very bottom of the bracket. That is not true of the Butler Regional. This goes 8 deep. You guys got a winnable first game and fail harder, but they're not a joke. That's a tough opening game. And if you get past the game, which you should, but still it's going to leave a mark. I mean, a path through either Team Arkansas and having to deal with Jalen Barford, who's all TBT every year, she's an explosive scorer, and then or Eberline Drive, and then having to basically play for the Indiana State Championships against Assembly Ball or the Crew or Meadow Mackey or Fort Wayne. You're guaranteed an Indiana final if you get there. Every team isn't from Indiana. Is this a really difficult road? Are fans gonna get their money's worth watching these games?
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's guys littered, Indiana guys littered throughout the, not just Minamacky, the Crew, Assembly Ball, and us. There is a ton of Indiana guys, like Kobe Webster and those guys that we're going to play in the first round. Like a ton of Indiana guys that grew up in this state that are familiar with our guys. We're familiar with their guys. They're familiar with Butler, and so. I think it's just a really fun region. Obviously, it being in Hinkle, kind of the center of Indiana, with a ton of Indiana guys, will be really, really fun. And then, as you know, and I think in any state, but especially in Indiana, I think it really matters. And Butler, Purdue, Indiana, over the last 15 years, everybody's kind of had their, Purdue went to the Final Four here. Indiana's had obviously really, really good teams. We've had, our runs. We all got together in the Crossroads Classic for many years and battled it out. And so I think when you kind of go through each generation, right, there's been teams from all 3 of our universities that have been really, really good. And this is kind of a chance to kind of prove it. And so I think it'll be a lot of fun, and all the other teams are really good as well, and they could all probably win it just as easily as those 3 teams. But when you're talking about actual alumni teams in this group, then you throw in Arkansas and I
Yeah.
think it's just going to be a lot of storylines, a lot of fun, a lot of familiarity between our programs, the players. And this will not be the first time when you get to the final of this region here. This will not be the first time these guys have played in a high level game against each other, whichever team's playing. A lot of battles back and forth between all of our teams.
I have a Indiana basketball story if you'll indulge me. It's a very short one. I was actually at a wedding for a good friend of mine. I was actually at a wedding party, and he got married on Final Four weekend in Indiana. I think he did that because he was unaware that basketball is a religion in Indiana, and he got the venue probably cheaply for that reason. Because who the hell gets married during Final Four weekend in Indiana? A crazy person. And of course, that's the year I'm a huge Memphis fan, and that's the year that Memphis was in the Final Four. So and this venue had no TV. So while they were doing the dances, they were asking where I was. And I was listening to Memphis beat UCLA in the car radio, trying to get back to the wedding. But I want to make sure I heard my team win at least. The wedding, of course, was nice, but it ended. They're divorced now. So the lesson is don't get your wedding on Final Four weekend in Indiana. It will probably end.
Yeah,
that's what you deserve, honestly.
Yeah, it's like starting the game, down 10-0, right? Like you start off on the wrong foot, wrong time. Should have waited.
Yeah, just a
football season.
Yeah. The weekend
football season in Indiana. No one, I mean the Colts, but do it in football season.
I went to a Big Ten school in the center of the world for my grad school, and I understand I went to Illinois, and Indiana football is kind of like, let's just say those are great basketball states and leave it at that. Okay, so the one thing I am disappointed about looking at this bracket, we did our bracketology, and we were in this region pretty close. We messed up the middle as usual, but I'm kind of disappointed that the Crew wasn't your first round opponent. So I really wanted to see the Horizon League on Horizon League Crime matchup. Because I know the Crew are still in the Horizon League. I think it's still the Horizon League. That's what it's called now. And you guys have graduated to the Big Ten. Would that have been kind of a fun matchup, and maybe it's something that could be a sneaky good final?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say some of our roster, maybe most of our roster was not familiar with Valpo and the history between Butler and Valpo. Certainly, I'm very aware of that. Sheldon's very aware of that. We were both in the Horizon League during our playing career. So yeah, I mean, I think that would have been an unbelievably great first round matchup. But I think they play the Men of Mackey, right? No, they play Assembly Ball.
No, they start off with Assembly Ball, so it's going to be a really tough. They have a very tough road in the first round.
That's right. And so yeah, I mean, I think the old Horizon League was an unbelievable conference, and Cleveland State, Valpo, Green Bay, Milwaukee, right? Just a lot of really good players, really good teams. And so yeah, that would have been a lot of fun, especially for us old guys can go back and relive some old Horizon League days. But
yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. Go ahead.
They still have that chance.
What?
So.
Yeah, it could be the final. Okay, I'll leave you with one question because I know you probably got to go because you have to go, do your actual job. But people who listen to the show, and we have dozens of listeners, are probably already TBT guys. Let's try to preach to the few unconverted who might not have heard this. Why do people need to be at Hinkle this summer for this event? And this is the last question, so empty the tank.
Yeah, so you cut off there for a second. So you said why do people need to be at Hinkle?
Yeah, why do people need to be Hinkle this summer? Like, what's the sales pitch? And this is your last question. Just empty the tank.
Yeah, well, it's probably the easiest sales pitch I've ever had in my life. Number one, Hinkle Fieldhouse is, I think, the best place in all of America to watch a basketball game. And so I think that if you haven't been to Hinkle, this is a great opportunity to go. You should definitely. It's a bucket list. Check it off. It's up there with Allen Fieldhouse, Cameron Indoor, Hinkle Fieldhouse, right there with them all. So I think that's a cool thing. And I think more than anything, if you're a basketball fan, if you've grown up in the state or around the state of Indiana, there is IU, Purdue, us, Valpo. Tons of players that you'll recognize from the high school days in and around Indianapolis, right, all the way through college. People love basketball in Indiana, and what better thing to do in the summer than have us all get together and kind of duke it out to see who can, win the region. And so, for me, for my kids, for my family, just the opportunity to come back and represent something that's way bigger than yourselves. And I'm sure that all these other teams feel the exact same way, is really an honor. And I'm sure those guys at those other programs feel the same way. And so I think it'll be high level basketball too. I think, you look up and down the roster, there are a ton of guys that have played in the NBA, right? A ton of guys that are playing high level European basketball. They've made a lot of money in this game. They've won a lot in college. And so the brand of basketball, I think, will be great. And, the programs as well, like not to keep going, but the programs, I think you're talking about Purdue, Valpo, Butler, Indiana, Arkansas, right? You're talking about some of the premier programs in college basketball, but that have cultures and have systems and have played a certain way. And so that'll translate to just a better brand of basketball than maybe just a bunch of group of guys coming together. And so come out to Hinkle Fieldhouse. I think should be an unbelievable event. I couldn't be more excited. I don't know guys on our team are excited, and hopefully. They say Hinkle magic, right? There's a term called Hinkle magic, which is you can ask Villanova, you can ask some of these teams that have walked in there and felt it before. Hopefully, there's a little bit of magic in the summer. We haven't really tried that at Hinkle yet, so I'm excited to see if there's a little Hinkle magic in the middle of July or late July. If there is, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm betting there probably will be. Coach Kampen, All Good Dawgs, the Butler alums, looking to win 6 and win the $1 million. Thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.